Well, that's a great start. I accidentally hit start stream instead of start recording. So.
Well, welcome to the live episode.
There's no way we're going to possibly be able to do a live episode of this podcast.
With what distraction?
No, y'all say too much sus fucking shit. I can't. And plus, then I also feel like if I do it live, then one or both of y'all is gonna be looking at the comments in the stream, and y'all are just gonna fucking start it. Yeah, I know you're gonna start it because you started in my YouTube comment.
Both interacting with your chat.
Yeah, Zach. Jesus Christ,
Tyler,
you ever fucking streamed a video game?
The way you interact with people is not interaction, Tyler. It's not interaction.
Content.
It's harassment.
Content.
It's harassment.
Call that shit $5.
Oh my fuck! $5 footlong? Wait, what?
See, no one else said it. You did, and then you're gonna look at us like we're fucking saying such shit. I'm not the one that brought up Jared Fogle, my guy.
I didn't say Jared Fogle. I was just.
You said $5 footlong. They're synonymous.
Don't hit me with that. But that's a Subway commercial. But Jared Fogle hasn't been associated with Subway for years.
You're sus. Admit it.
I'm not an Among Us character.
Listen, I'll let Zord post the Among Us with genitals in chat next time if you keep this shit up.
You'll let him.
I have that power, remember this.
You'll let him.
I could have easily said yes to Among Us with genitals, but you know what I did? I read your viewership like a third grade textbook.
I don't even fucking know what. So actually, I'll just start off with saying, so Tom, you didn't tell me this, but the Fred Durst is in the Neo World Ends With You demo, and I am shocked that I wasn't informed that one of my favorite musicians of all time.
It also sounds like he made the soundtrack, so you know they just not giving him enough credit.
Hold up, though. I want to set the record straight and some shit. You said the soundtrack wasn't good. You said it was bad. I'll be honest with you. I kind of like a good amount of it. I think the battle theme's okay. I think the battle theme's okay. I think the overworld theme it's all right, but it gets a little repetitive. But that was the same with the original World Ends With You's original theme, and the music in the intro cutscene was all really good. So I mean, like I personally, but like there's some of the songs, like some of the people's like background songs when they're talking is like, okay, yeah, this is getting into Xenoblade X Black Tar rapping territory.
It's all like that. What do you mean?
So, I don't know.
The vocals, like 80% of them are fucking hot garbage doo-doo ass cheeks. It sounds like fucking Creed, dude.
I don't know. Yeah, that's cap. Wait. That's cap.
What?
That's cap.
Nah, dude. Listen, man. You turned me on to some music, but you're on the pack. You're smoking the pack right now. The episode just started, and you're smoking pack right now. How are you going to do this?
I do feel like my opinion's a little bit the opposite of yours too. I don't like the combat. I don't like the change of the combat system. I think
I can understand that.
It's way too like. I feel like it's very mindless button mashing for the most part, while you also hold the direction on the control stick so the enemies can't hit you properly. Like, yeah. And then that's like the entire crux of the combat so far. I don't know, maybe once you get more pins or the characters are more explored.
No, the pins are all the same. The pins all do the same.
I don't fucking know. All I know is that the way that this demo laid out the gameplay and the story and everything, it all seemed really like. I feel like the characters were just kind of like they were all personality and very little substance, you know, like they all had this like one goofy quirky trait about them, but they didn't actually have like the realness of characters, which is the shit I hate in anime. It's like oh yeah, I'm this character who, like they did the same thing in the first World Ends With You, which I feel like this game is just kind of doing its best to copy that in nearly every way. Only honestly, one of the things, I don't know, I'm jumping around here, but one of the things I didn't like was that the demo, I think it's the full game, just like the beginning of it, but it
Yeah,
jumped
the first 2 chapters.
yeah, it jumped way too quick into it, from in my opinion. Like I feel like, I mean, and I'm someone who I don't really like when RPGs take their time and make you fucking wait around. But like I like to at least marinate with something for long enough to get an understanding of the
Dude,
characters
they
and the
really
story.
just fucking threw you into it.
They just start you off in Shibuya, and then the thing happens, and then like you don't have any time to get to know your characters or the setting or like anything, and you're just thrust into the crux of it all. Which I don't know, maybe I have to look back on the original World Ends With You, but I feel like it at least took its time to have us start to care about the characters, and it was more than just them saying like LOL XD random shit, or just being really quirky. So I don't know. And yeah, I just think it's kind of like really basic, but maybe the full game will be better. But I don't know if I'm even gonna play the full game at this point. Maybe I won't. It didn't seem to really scratch the itch for an RPG that I need to be scratched in order to have it playable. And hopefully this game will, the demo is just, it's the rough patch of the game. Maybe it starts to open
it's
up.
just the first 4 to 5 hours.
Yeah, dude, maybe it gets better after that. That's what most RPGs are like. They suck at first and then they get really good later.
I don't know, man. At least Persona 5 gave us character development and backstory.
Oh no, Persona 5 is the exception, not the rule. Just like Xenoblade Chronicles is the exception and not the rule. Like it takes like 2 hours for Persona 5 to get good. Like versus like 20, dude. Like, but like
it took Persona 5 2 hours to become Persona 5. Not even get good.
Well, I mean, like it took 2 hours for Persona 5 to get
to start.
Not even just, yeah. I just meant like to get you interested in it. I feel like the second you get introduced to Kamoshida, you're like, oh shit.
They should have just made Rindo a blank protagonist. You should have just done that.
Yeah, I feel like Rindo is really. I mean, he's just. It's so weird because like with characters like that, they're meant to be a proxy for you, but like when he's just like a really boring character devoid of any significant emotion or like identifying trait, it's like, why did you even give him a personality to begin with?
Like, why waste the time giving him a name and a backstory?
Yeah, I mean, maybe he's gonna have some significance later on. I don't know.
I fucking hope so. He's the main character of the game.
Yeah, all I know is that don't let this deter you from ever playing the original World Ends With You, because that shit was fucking good. But yeah,
that was really, really good.
Yeah.
It was a cult classic.
It is good, but this one seems to be, again, like they're aiming to pander toward the 13-year-olds of today, and maybe it's just not a game for me. Maybe it's just not a game meant for the audience that I am.
Are we getting too old for video games?
No, yeah, this is our boomer reaction to this, right, Tyler?
God.
I mean, we're not getting too old for video games because now we got money and can put it in microtransactions. So we're the perfect age for video games.
I'm playing Fortnite.
You like Fortnite? And so before we get into like the topics of today too, I want to pour one out for the fallen soldiers of Super Smash Brothers Ultimate.
No, don't. You want to talk about clinical depression? I don't want to talk about Dante. That was some bullshit.
And
that
Shantae.
was horse ass. That was cock meat sandwich. That was shit on a stick. That was balls to the wall. That was show on the road. They really took the one good character they could have taken, and they said, "Fuck you."
Hopes and dreams ruined. Once again,
and they gave you fucking Kazuya Mishima.
Hold up. Kazuya is dope though.
You could have just put Jin or Heihachi in the game.
You could have just put Dante Or
You could
Shantae.
put fucking Dante. But you know what you did? Ooh, I got weird hair.
You could have just made Kazuya like the fighting character. Not the fighting, like the me character instead, and he would have played the same way.
Wait, what? Do you mean Kazuya's
No.
moveset is the same thing as a Mii fighter?
Go around, you punch and kick things.
That's
There
not.
you go.
No.
Dante has more moves
That's
and more weapons.
Whoa!
And demon mode.
Yeah, you're capping. So, dude, Kazuya actually has the most moves of any character in Smash Brothers.
We don't.
And Dante has the most moves of most any fighter in any video game. He
We
has
don't need all
5
those
games worth
fucking
of
moves.
weapons.
I don't come to Smash to play Tekken. I come to Smash to play a casual platform fighter. I don't want to fucking break my thumbs to do a fucking stupid fucking like dunk on someone.
You don't
bullshit.
you don't need to. You just gotta hold A at the ledge and then watch them buffer air
That
dodge
is
in your
pussy
10-hit
shit.
combo.
I have pork and beans in my pants, sir. I don't have not that.
Character hasn't even been out for a month, and Zach has found out the meta.
No, dude, this is the meta go. Okay, so there's 2 metas, right? There's the I'm going to hold the A button at the ledge because the buffer mechanic of this game is stupid, and that people are gonna have to shield the 10-hit combo and get pushed off the edge and then die. Or there's the I'm going to run up and hit you with Hell's Gate and fucking slam you into the bottom of the stage. That one's funny because it's like Bowser side B. Or my personal favorite is getting them in a jab lock with side B, like hitting them with side B so they crumple, and then like hitting them with like a smash attack and then following it up with another side B after you read their get up. Like, that shit's so fucking funny.
This character's stupid and no one fucking wanted him. It's dumb. Kazuya's dumb. Kazuya's stupid. We don't need another fucking arcade fighter. We've already got like 4 of them. The fuck, I don't want another one.
So yeah, Kazuya's a lot of fun. I enjoy playing as him. It's a great experience so far. Pretty funny to see people struggle against him though.
You're
he
the
does
reason
suck.
I didn't get Dante in the video game.
I'm not Nintendo.
You are. You're
No.
actually just fucking Nintendo.
No,
You're sitting here promoting this dick character.
he's not Dick.
He's dick. His hair is literally a phallus. He's dick. Just a little pointy.
I like Kazuya. He's fun. That's all I care about. He's a fun character. Oh, I mentioned this too, right? But like the bitter irony in the final Smash character reveal, whenever it happens, isn't that the last character is going to be revealed, and like it's just going to be the end of Smash characters forever, or at least for the foreseeable future. But it's going to be the last character, and then the final reveal after that is going to be people's hopes and dreams crushed by Mii costumes. I'm so ready for it, dude. I'm so ready to see which dreams
You
get
get
crushed
the
next.
top half of Sora.
It would be the funniest shit ever. It's Sora's hair. Then you could actually make Macho Man Sora Savage in game, dude. Oh wait.
Oh yeah, brother. I'm gonna give you this keyblade stabbing and then snap into you like a Slim Jim before I dunk you at 50% with this shot put.
So there's some news stuff that's happened, some very brief news things we could talk about. I don't know if you guys care. There's so apparently there's been a leak about the Ghost of Tsushima director's cut, which honestly I'm kind of happy I waited on this game now so I can just get it on PS5 with the expansion, which is the Ghost of Ikishima, right? That's what it is.
It's like Ishi or something like that. I don't know what the name of the expansion is, but the island like Ishi Island.
Yeah. And that looks pretty good. I'm happy that they're showing this new IP from the people who made the not Sly Cooper. Yeah, they made Sly Cooper. Yes, they did. Sucker Punch.
Well, I mean, it's not a new IP anymore.
Ghost of Tsushima. I mean, Yeah, it's pretty new. It came out last
It's like
year.
their newest IP.
Yeah, it came out
It
last
might be their
year.
newest IP, but it's not new anymore.
You wouldn't
It came out
consider,
last year. It's not new anymore.
but it's brand. This is still the first game. They're just re-releasing it. That's why it's new. So
I mean, it's new. They're re-releasing something that already came out. It's not new. They just added stuff to it.
their
They
newest
upgraded.
IP. All right, we're gonna argue semantics on this. And their newest IP.
Semantics not new. Their remake of a IP.
Not remake, report.
It's not even a remake.
Remake.
It hasn't even been out for a
Upgrade.
year.
They're re-releasing the same fucking game.
Yes,
Upgrade.
the same game that hasn't been
It's
up
an
for a year.
upgrade.
Yes.
Is it though?
I don't know. Just looking at it, it's like, at least looking at it, it's like it looks good. You know, they added a bunch of missions, a bunch more animals you can interact with. I don't know if I'm gonna pick it up again, just because once I beat the original one.
I mean, they're probably
I
going to
didn't.
make it so that it's free for you for an
Well,
upgrade. but you
Tyler,
probably-
let me tell you, you don't have to buy the game again. You can spend an extra $10 to get the director's cut edition stuff on PS5.
Probably, yeah.
Well, so I
No,
think I
that
already
is information that is out.
Oh,
I think I already sold mine. That's why. So I'd have to buy it again.
oh,
Because like once I beat it, I
tough shit.
didn't really want to play it again. Of
Why
course,
the hell
because
did you get
when
rid
I went through it, I did like all the side missions.
I mean, didn't you say
did.
screw the friggin' PvP mode thing they added in or whatever?
Oh yeah, the
Yeah,
Legends.
because
yeah.
like if I want to
co-op
play a game
multiplayer.
like that, I just play Neo where they did it better. Or Neo 2, I should say.
I haven't played Neo 2.
You will.
Shut up.
But
yeah.
it looks good. They added a bunch like because I know in the online they have their own map you can explore, do all that, and then this one they got a new missions, new island. I'm pretty sure they're gonna have new arm. Well, I hope they have new armor and stuff
They
like
do.
that. It looks good. It definitely looks, especially on PS5. So the load times were never really a big problem, but I guess on PS5 it's going to be near press a button and then you're there.
Yeah,
Well, now
what
you're
was-
gonna get it in 4K 60 targeted FPS.
Mhm.
Hey.
You know what I thought was funny, and I realized it after Donkey pointed it out in his Ratchet and Clank review, was like that Sony's and Microsoft have been advertising, like, or Sony specifically, I should say, rather, their super fast SSD for games is like, oh man, you can seamlessly load in and out of areas, and loading's a thing of the past. And like Donkey was like, yeah, but you already did this in like 3 games before. Like The Last of Us, you loaded in once at the beginning and you never had a load screen again. I was like, oh, he's right. How God of War, you loaded into the game once, you never had a load screen again.
I see you too watch the newest Donkey video about Ratchet and Clank.
Yes, that's what I said. In any
You
case,
know what?
yeah. In any case, yeah. My point is like, I'm surprised that like load screens are even a discussion nowadays with a lot of these games. But apparently, I think it's maybe for third-party games where
You know what
they don't
else
know
is
how to do it.
surprising? The fact that the person watching this video hasn't clicked the like button yet. Click it, you shameless,
Oh.
shameless human being. Click the subscribe button.
Yeah.
Turn on the notification bell. I've had enough of telling you this.
Yeah.
had enough.
So
I'll
if we reach 15 likes on this video, 15 is the goal. All right, 15. There's at least 15 of you who's gonna watch this. I know. I see the metrics. 15 likes, and we will do a podcast episode where we reveal our names through our Sonic OC characters.
Okay, wait, hold on.
Did you know that only 8% of you are subscribed to the channel?
Oh God, please.
Did you
don't
know
do
that
it.
if you
I
hit
can't.
25 likes on this video, you'll get a live rendition of us singing Chug Jug with you? Yes, that's a thing.
I veto that. I veto that.
Yo, you veto that, but you're gonna let us put our fucking Sonic OCs on here?
Well,
Nothing personnel, kid.
Oh my God. He said nothing personnel, kid. All right. So apparently the next game from the mastermind himself, Hideo Kojima, is gonna be an Xbox exclusive. Apparently, I don't know if I don't know how much we care about that one, but I just figured I'd include it here because it's noteworthy. Kojima is, as much love or hate Death Stranding. I'm pretty sure most of us here did not like Death Stranding. Love or hate it, Kojima is a mastermind of game development who has created a myriad of unforgettable experiences in the past between all the Metal Gear games and PT and just his involvement with a lot of other studios and games in the past as well. So I mean, I am excited to see what he does next, and the fact that it's apparently essentially locked in as an Xbox exclusive title. I'm wondering what they're bringing him on to do. I have this idea for a while that, like, I don't know, I feel like they would try to bring back Xbox would try to bring back Scalebound at some point. I don't know if you remember that game from like a few years back, like 5 or 6 years back, that they were going to have Platinum Games release. And I would like to see Kojima's take on something like Scalebound. I think that'd be pretty cool. But I don't know. Yeah.
I mean,
It seems like because I know Death Stranding was a PlayStation exclusive.
Yes.
And now he's doing a Xbox, well, Microsoft exclusive, because they're talking about it's going to be Xbox and PC exclusive. I don't know if it's going to be a pattern like PlayStation, Xbox, PlayStation, Xbox, PlayStation, Xbox, or if this deal he's making with Xbox is just going to strictly be like, I'm making a deal with Xbox, so now I only make Xbox exclusive games.
I highly doubt it's going to be. I mean, maybe, but
it's like, at least with Kojima, he's the big steez, but Microsoft likes to take stuff and claim it as theirs and hold it for as long as they can squeeze money out of it. And if you could have Kojima to be Xbox exclusive, like he's a mastermind, they're definitely going to work to keep that.
Maybe, yeah. I think it's more like whoever approached Kojima with money first is probably where Kojima's gonna go. Or whoever is just gonna give him free reign to do whatever the fuck he wants. So I mean, it's hard to say, but I also think Kojima's just a fucking wild card because he jetted from Konami instantly, and it seems like he jetted from his partnership with PlayStation with Death Stranding almost instantly. So he could probably just jet from Microsoft and, I don't know, fucking work with Nintendo next for all we fucking know.
Listen, he didn't jet from Konami. He got away from them.
Yeah, he jetted, dude. He bounced out. He was out of that shit. Well, I mean,
fair, them fuckers are over at Konami.
Yeah.
Nah, we don't fuck them.
I mean, if he goes to Nintendo after, and I'm like, okay, you're just making your way to get your stuff on every console, or every I shouldn't say console, but every
platform,
yeah. Which, I mean, hey, as long as they're all like masterpieces, because like Death Stranding, that was
kind of
it was a masterpiece.
Death Stranding was a game.
It was a masterpiece of trash.
Yes. If the Xbox one, like, I really hope he doesn't bring Metal Gear. Well, he probably won't. But like the next successor to Metal Gear, like a game that's so close and plays so close, like to the point where people are going to say, like, yeah, this is Metal Gear, but Konami can't legally do anything about it because it's not. I hope he doesn't bring that to an Xbox exclusive because you're Metal Gear fans.
I doubt it.
PlayStation.
I feel like Kojima, like the reason why he made Death Stranding too was because he was kind of sick of doing Metal Gear and all, doing the same, being boxed into the same series and type of series over and over, and he wanted to try something new. So I could totally see him making a new game that is again a separate idea from that, and possibly even Death Stranding. I hope it's not similar to Death Stranding. That's all I'm gonna say.
So I honestly think it's just getting the rights to some of the games that Kojima made and putting them on Xbox Game Pass. I kind of think that's what it is, because I kind of looked at the details of what everything is.
Mm-hmm.
Like Xbox and Kojima haven't really made the deal yet. They've just signed letter of intent, which doesn't mean a lot. And on top of that, the detail is that whatever is being made or remade is being made for streaming. It's being made for cloud services, or it's being made for cloud services. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's just shit going on Xbox Game Pass.
Well, I mean, I don't feel like it would be just that. I feel like no, because from what I understood, the deal is that Microsoft is giving Kojima money to fund his next project. But I'm sure, like, if there's some deal going in, maybe they're just gonna put Death Stranding on Game Pass too. I could see that.
I think it's also weird that while this is happening, he's still technically working with Sony. It's kind of weird because there's the
Yeah,
fucking director's cut of fucking Death Stranding, which is still PS5.
I mean,
exclusive.
his studio's a complete free agent, so I mean, he's able to just jump around.
No, I just think it's funny.
Yeah, it is pretty funny. But I mean, I don't know. Kojima has his pocket in every corner of the game industry, so, or his hands in every pocket of the game industry, to say rather. So,
Media industry.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, yeah, he's worked with God, who did he work with for Silent Hills? Did he work with George R.R. Martin?
I don't think he worked with George R.R. Martin.
No, that wasn't George R.R. Martin. Who did he work with? That wasn't Norman Reedus. He worked with some writer. I don't remember who it was though. It's fine. But yeah, it's I don't know. I would like to see what he does next, and maybe if he veers into a whole different genre of game. But that's yet to be seen. But I don't. In any case, since we talked about Konami for a second, I want to pivot to this. I don't know if you heard, Tyler. I mentioned this to Tom once before, but apparently, Konami is striking a deal right now to make the next Silent Hill game. And it's going to be in conjunction with everyone's favorite indie horror development studio, Bloober Team. You know Bloober Team, Tyler?
I know. I've heard it. I don't know what they've made.
You don't know what they've made? Oh, Tyler. They've made such amazing games like Layers of Fear and Blair Witch.
Only the S tier horror games.
The first thing I saw on Twitter with it was Monkey's Paw. You get a new Silent Hill game, but it's made by Bloober Team.
Monkey.
Oh.
Made by Monkey. Actual chimps.
Yeah. But I mean, like, it's actually kind of depressing because I don't feel like Bloober Team really makes. I mean, at the very least, their track record is inconsistent, right? Like the Layers of Fear series, sure, it's popular, but I did not like it at all. Blair Witch was horrendous. They made Observer, which, I mean, I heard good things about it, and I watched like someone play it once or a little bit of it, but I didn't really think it was anything super special. Personally, when I saw it, I haven't played it personally though, so I don't know the details of it. But like in terms of their record with horror games, I feel like they don't really know how to make something actually scary. Like they know how to do jump scares, and they know how to like maybe set a tone, but they don't know how to like turn that into actual scares, like something that's psychologically terrifying or something that can get you gripped in and maybe, you know, leaves you nervous to play something or move forward or leaves you with suspense. It's more like, hey, I'm walking through this hallway, and then, oh, spooky ghost lady jumps in front and scares my face. Oh no. It's like, okay, you know, that's not really horror, that's shitty shock. So yeah, I don't know.
It's a Silent Hill game. Yeah, couldn't just remake PT the way that everyone wanted it to.
No, it's fine.
But you don't have Kojima.
They're doing this to us.
You want to talk about fucking horror reboots that people may or may not have asked for?
Shit. Yeah, let's go. Dead Space 3 out of 10. So EA is pretty much confirming that this new Dead Space reboot. It's a complete reimagining or a remake of the first game. And it
But it
is
was going to be
going
the whole series.
no, just the first game.
Well,
And or I think that's the vague reporting of it. And it's gonna
I think
be
they're gonna remake a game. They're gonna see how it goes, and then from there they're gonna see if they're gonna remake the series.
yeah. But I mean, like, if they're gonna remake it, I feel like they're just gonna retell it and maybe put a different spin on it. But apparently the developers of Star Wars Squadrons is
Rogue
gonna
Squadron, and this is also the same company that what was it co-developed. They had a hand in Battlefront 2, like the new Battlefront 2.
oh my god.
Mm.
Oh my Christ, no.
Yep.
I mean, like, I feel this is such a bad call for me, because it's like I don't know. It's I feel so there are multiple things, right? One, Dead Space had a good thing going for it, and EA was what killed Dead Space. Like, it wasn't that. So initially with Dead Space, they killed it, one, because it didn't sell as well as they thought it would, even though the series was
Micro
yeah.
transactions.
But I mean, like, but the series was still going strong. Like, Dead Space 1 had really good sales. Dead Space 2 had even better sales. Dead Space 3, I think, was what stagnated, but it stagnated because they implemented these really ridiculous microtransactions, and they toned, like, I remember hearing that the developers wanted to keep in a lot of the ideas that were in Dead Space 2 and put them in 3. Like, there were the necromorph babies in Dead Space 2. There was a whole, like, nursery area in Dead Space 2 devoted to them, and that shit was actually kind of creepy. But in Dead Space 3, they replaced them with necromorph dogs. They were the same exact enemy model. They looked the same, but they were just dogs instead. And, like, they did it purely because they're like, well, dogs are less creepy than babies in this sense. So let's just, let's make it so that, we have these things be less scary all around the board. So you had, like, less of the enemies who made creepy moaning sounds, less of the explodey enemies, less of the ones that could, like, stalk you, stuff like that. And they turned it more into an action shooter too. They implemented co-op, which is, again, something no one wanted. They put in microtransactions no one wanted. They added in all these QTE, like, big screen action sequences, and pretty much
Those are so fucking annoying.
yeah,
Man.
and pretty much they turned it into, like, EA's answer to Lost Planet, which, I mean, Lost Planet's okay, but we already have a Lost Planet. And Dead Space, again, it had a really good thing going for it with 1 and 2. Those two games were really good. And EA, the company themselves, killed it, not only by making the third game a disappointment for many, but by also just, taking a big dump, and saying, well, we're not supporting this series anymore. And then they took the development team for Dead Space and made them make a Battlefield spinoff that sucked, because of course it's gonna suck. Yeah,
Killed them.
they took the team known for horror games and had them develop a first-person shooter that also was supposed to mock and, like, not mock, but ape Payday, right? That's what Battlefield Hardline, yeah, that's what it was, pretty much did. They developed it. And then they're like, oh, it didn't do as well as we thought. Oh, yeah, of course it didn't do as well as you thought, because you took a team that's not known for doing something and you made them do it. And then you killed that team and you killed their IP. And now you want to fucking bring it back from the dead with some fucking no-name team who made, again, shitty games in the last few years, and, just completely reimagine it from the ashes. Oh, why? Because horror games are back on the rise, because Resident Evil's doing good now, because you see that and you see the money there, and maybe you're like, we're gonna do this. And I mean, like, it'd be one thing if it was a genuine thing where the time was coming and it's like, okay, people want a new Dead Space game, let's get the old team or some people from the old team and let's bring it back and let's see how it goes. Like, that would be one thing. I think a lot of people would be happy with that. But no, like, pretending like the original Dead Space trilogy didn't happen and signing it off for a whole new team like this, it just feels like unnecessarily, I don't know, it feels like all bad juju, dude. Does not, it feels like bad signs everywhere.
Dude,
from
this
the-
whole thing
yeah.
whole thing looks like a fucking shit show.
Exactly.
Because on top of the fact that they've come out and they said they're taking a shit ton of notes from Capcom and Resident Evil, because that is literally the premier horror series nowadays.
Mhm.
They brought in and hired someone from Ubisoft who helped create and develop Assassin's Creed Valhalla, assigned him to the team, and announced that he's going to be working on a quote unquote unannounced project with this team,
Oh, that's
which is
probably Dead
presumably
Space.
Dead Space.
Yeah.
So on
Oh.
top of the fact that they're doing this at a really awkward timing, it seems like they're really doing it in the shitty, in like a really shitty way, and just kind of throwing people at it.
Yeah. I don't know. I
This game, buy it.
yeah, I personally love the first two Dead Space games, and I really wish that it was the IP didn't belong to EA, which is like the scum of the gaming industry. Because honestly, like I couldn't give a shit about most of EA's IP. Like I don't give a shit about Battlefield. I don't give a shit about like I don't know what the fuck else do they have? They have like what FIFA? I know is that
Star
Ubisoft?
Wars
Yeah.
Battlefront 2.
I don't give a shit about most of the Star Wars shit anymore because they've dug that into the grave, right? Like
But that's why they're making this game, is because Jedi Fallen Order was so good, and they want to start making good single player games. Like
I don't give a
Couldn't
shit
say that
about
straight up.
Madden. I don't.
that was actually a quote that they pulled, was that someone from EA
Oh,
said
God.
that, and I was like, wow.
Yeah, but I mean, like, so there are so many games from EA studios that I just don't care about. Honestly, I could be cool with never having to buy or play an EA game again at this point. But then, like, you know, there are like the scattered like remnants of series in the past that they've done that I've grown attachment to, that when they bring them back, I'm like, man, this would be good if it wasn't EA. Like Mass Effect. Oh man, this would be good if it wasn't EA. Dragon Age. Oh, this would be good if it wasn't EA. Like, I don't know. And now with Dead Space, it's like, you know, I want this to be good, but EA. So I'm just like, I'm super, I'm disappointed because I feel like they're doing they're trying to do the thing that like Capcom's been doing, right? But Capcom, there's the difference is Capcom does not miss. Capcom knows what their fans want. They know what makes their games good, and they can easily push it toward that. They have the talent, they have the capability, they have the understanding of the industry, and they know what they can do to make a good game. It's why we got Monster Hunter World. It's why we got Resident Evil Village. It's why we're getting all of these great Capcom games in the last few years. But EA, like, they're completely detached from what people want. And when you know, EA as a company in a situation like with this Dead Space thing is left to make the decision to figure out what people would want in a Dead Space game, they have to assign a team, they have to figure out what the direction's going to be, they have to give them a budget, they have to get set expectations. That leads me to think that, oh my god, you're just going to get a room full of suits who don't know what the fuck people actually want and what the fans of the series actually care about, and you're just gonna cause the series to burn in the ground again. So I don't know. That's just me though.
Why can't you just leave things dead?
Because money, right, Tyler?
Yeah,
But
pretty
like, is
much,
this
yeah.
is this
I was
even
about to
gonna
say,
sell
money.
well?
Yeah.
Like, is this even gonna sell well enough to warrant making this?
I mean,
Like,
maybe
there's gonna be a small group of people that's like, oh wow, I love Dead Space, and they're gonna pick it up, but it's not gonna draw in a bunch of newer people. Like,
Hey, let me ask you a question. Is this gonna sell 2 million copies?
I mean, it might.
It might.
I mean, no. Here's the thing, though, right? You got to look at it in a bubble, in a different bubble from what's set, right? Because Dead Space One, so Dead Space in general, is a series that has always had potential to be a lot bigger than it actually was. There's a lot of stuff in Dead Space that I could consider iconic, and I think it was something that, in all honesty, maybe this is me sucking the game's dick really hard because I liked it, right? But Dead Space to me was a series that was the first two games at the very least was very ahead of its time. I feel like if Dead Space 1 and 2 came out during the PS4 life cycle, or if EA was competent enough to just re-release the fucking games on PS4, like that game would have sold many, many more units than it did. And that's because people, the audience of people who play games now compared to what it was when Dead Space 1 came out in 2008, like nearly a decade and a half ago, pretty much. Um, that that audience has grown exponentially. Like there are so many people who play games now that didn't play games before because people are buying consoles and are being considered gamers more often than not. And because of that, we're seeing the markets expand, which is why we're seeing this resurgence of horror games and horror series. And something like Dead Space, where the whole crux is like, oh, it's a super scary game, and get your family and your friends involved. Like that's something that I think could appeal to a lot of people nowadays. It depends on how you spin it, though. But I mean, personally, I think that it could sell very well in the right atmosphere and with the right talents behind it. But will it actually sell very well? I don't know. It depends on how things go. It might just sell well by being Dead Space, but it might not sell well
I
because EA
I
doesn't know
don't
what the
know,
fuck
man.
they're doing.
This series was put pretty fucking hard in the ground with Dead Space 3. And it
Yeah.
left a really sour taste in a lot of people's mouths. I
And
mean, there's people
yeah.
that are gonna defend this series till the day they fucking die because Dead Space 1 and 2 they're really, 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 really goddamn good games.
Mm-hmm.
But at this point, this just kind of seems like a really big cash grab, and I'm sure to a lot of people it seems like the same thing. And it's just at this point, it's just kind of like they're spitting at people.
Yeah. That's unfortunate. Tyler, what do you think?
It's just I know recently it's been just the year of remakes and remasters and just pulling shit out from like when we were kids and bringing it out now. A few that they brought did good, like Crash Bandicoot, Spyro, Final Fantasy VII. Like those did real good. Dead Space, I just don't know, like because I know it's like a remake, so they might step up everything. They might change the story and everything, but I don't know. I don't think it's going to do as good as they want it to. I
Mm-hmm.
think once it comes out, a bunch of people's like, "Oh my god, the game's good," but the same group of people are still going to say, "No, the game still sucks. The game's still stupid." Especially if they do the first Dead Space, and then like 3 years later, they do a second Dead Space, and it's the same move from game one to game two crap. Then it's like, what's the point in even bringing it here? Like you could have just ported it over if you're just going to do the same, like this, not the same like story crap, just the same like take these enemies, copy, paste, make it a dog.
The
Or
same gameplay and combat mechanic.
yeah, like the same, just like, oh, this changed in the first game onto the second game, and this changed the second game onto the third game. If you just keep those changes without throwing your own mix into it, then it's like it's not really worth it. And they're gonna charge like $70 for it because it's gonna be on next gen consoles. So that right there is just like, no, I'm not paying $70 for a remake of a game that people don't want to play anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got you. I mean, it really is unfortunate. That because I feel like if it wasn't EA, like if any other company owned Dead Space 2, we would have a different reaction to this. But because of the circumstance, and also too, I don't know if it's just me, but does it feel too soon for a Dead Space reboot? Like I feel like the wound, maybe it's just because maybe it's just me, but I feel like the wound is still too fucking fresh, dude. It's like, hey, this series, it's a little old, but it's like it's not old enough that I feel like they need to reboot it and start over.
Yeah, like they definitely should have waited until like if somebody says Dead Space now, everyone gets to feel like, oh, fucking Dead Space. Oh,
I
that
feel
game.
I feel like there was a couple more years of waiting they needed.
Yeah, like
at
once you
least wait a decade.
Like,
At least wait a decade.
like
like once you get to the point of somebody saying like Dead Space, like, oh yeah, that was a game. That's the point you should have remade it.
yeah.
Not when everyone still thinks, ugh, that game.
Well, I mean more so like this kind of goes to my point of like I feel like Dead Space was ahead of its time, where it's like normally what would make a remake justifiable to me is if a game in the past is so outdated in one way, shape, or form that it needs to be updated in order to retain the fundamental ideas that it had initially captured and translate them to better hardware so that they're easier to or so that the vision is easier to digest for audiences nowadays. Like good examples like Crash Bandicoot, right? It can be kind of hard for someone to go back and play the old Crash games because they look like doo-doo, and maybe because they play a little more weird, I should say. But with the new ones, they look all pretty, so people have an easier time to play them. Or like I don't know, it could be hard for people to go and play the original Resident Evil game on the N64, so they remade it on GameCube. They updated the graphics and made it look better, and like they made the gameplay a lot smoother, like stuff like that. Like quality of life changes that are necessary in order to justify a series to be rebooted or reimagined. Is something that I feel like is like, okay, yeah, but I don't feel like they need to reboot anything about Dead Space. Like, I feel like the formula they had worked really well, and if they just expanded on it, it would be better. But like, I don't know, like, why would they? Why if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Like,
they could honestly just port the games and make them 60 FPS compatible, and the games would still.
That's what I'm saying, right? Not even just port, just like literally make a whole, like, update it, remake the games on a whole new engine with the same exact games, and just pull like a Demon Souls, dude. Like, give it a huge facelift, and I think that would be perfect for a lot of people. But I don't know. Maybe I don't know. This is why I don't work at EA, because they don't listen to smart people. But
maybe we should take the microtransactions out. You're fired.
You're fired. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Don't put me on the NBA Live team. No.
Yeah. So, are there any topics you guys wanted to talk about before we jump into the final thing, or?
The fact that whoever's watching this still hasn't hit the like button like a dick.
So you're good, Tyler?
No.
Nothing specific.
Okay. So I approached you guys earlier with Tom brought this one up. He mentioned it the other day, and I it's a really good idea for a discussion, so we might as well have it. We were sitting around just talking about like, oh, what we're going to do for the podcast, what's a general gaming topic we can talk about. And Tom brought up, well, like we could talk about our, the best game genre, or like what makes a game genre. And I guess that naturally led us to debating like, okay, yeah, so you could say that, RPGs are the best genre, but like what really defines an RPG? Where does the line in the sand get drawn between an RPG and another type of game, or an open world game and another type of game, or an action adventure game and another type of game? And I mean, I feel like for some genres there's clear cut lines, and for some games there's clear cut lines, but for others the lines really do begin to blur. So I don't know. I guess since Tom and I already kind of know what we're going into with this, I want to hear your opinion first, Tyler. What to you makes an RPG?
At least an RPG, like you know, like me specifically, what I believe like an actual RPG is, or just what makes the title of an RPG game?
Yeah, so like
the bare minimum to be an RPG game.
What would you okay, actually, here's a good question. Would you consider
what I believe to be?
Yeah.
You go.
So a game you play regularly is Neo 2. Would you
Me?
consider Neo 2 an RPG?
Uh, just barely.
And
RPG, or does it have RPG elements
well,
that
yeah,
matter?
Yeah, it's
see,
RPG elements.
but
Yes.
what's the criteria for an RPG for you in that case? Like,
Uh,
what would make
for
that an RPG definitively?
to make it like an RPG, that have to be some choices that make you like make your character in a certain way, like the Mass Effect games.
Hmm.
You get to choose what you want to do. Like, do I save this person? Do I not? I get to choose this mission and go. I can change my weapons. I can change my abilities. Like, it's not just one aspect of upgrade my stats and change my weapon and armor, but the story is the same. I get no choices, everything. That's RPG elements. I have to be able to actually role play in the game. If I want to be good, I can be good. If I want to be bad, I can be bad. If I want to be a
Hmm.
good sorcerer, be a good sorcerer. If I want to be a bad idiot that carries around a big club, I want to be able to do that. Like or it has to, like, even if it's not like story, like, good or bad, there has to be that openness to go out and do enough. Because like Breath of the Wild, that's an RPG. Now you change your weapon, armor. You can't really make really decisions in the game, but it's
Hmm.
so, well, not character decisions, but it's so open that you can complete this game any way that you want. Like, sometimes you can just go straight to Ganon if you want. You can complete everything. You can roll with certain weapons, like things like that. You have to be able to, the choices have to be in front of you. Like, it's not just like, here's some stuff, but go this way. It has to be, here's some stuff. And when you're done with that stuff, here's this wide variety of other crap you can do.
Okay. But you see, that's actually a really really well thought out answer, huh? I so like I guess my extension of that, like, here's a game I've been playing regularly, right? Dark Souls. Would you consider Dark Souls an RPG? I feel like yeah.
Yes.
So I mean, because
Yes.
I feel like that
Yes.
checks off all of the boxes you were just
Yes.
describing, right? It's a game where you make choices, like you don't have to fight certain bosses, you do have to fight others. You have to figure out what your build's going to be. You can roll with different weapons. You can completely customize your character's appearance and voice and look, and you could choose to, do side quests or not to, and you really get to kind of carve your own experience into the game. I mean,
Yeah, and
yeah.
you can kill NPCs. Like, there's no character in the game that is immortal. You see somebody, if you want to kill them, you can kill them, give
Mhm.
or take, if they're locked behind something. And if you kill some person, it might affect another person's story. Like, this cause and effect to what you do.
Yeah.
It's, yeah.
So, Tom, what would you consider to be the criteria for an RPG?
So the main, I guess after doing a lot of research, um, I read way too many fucking excerpts on, oh, what's a traditional RPG element? I think what
Probably
it's
shouldn't have
what
done
it,
that.
shut up. I think the main thing it comes down to is that RPG elements are in 90% of most games nowadays. The main thing that differentiates an RPG from insert other gaming genre or other game or whatever here is the fact that an RPG is, for it to be a true RPG, the focus is on the story, or it's on the characters and the character development. That's kind of why I don't count a game like Dark Souls as a real RPG, because the focus isn't really on the story as so much it is focused on the gameplay. I guess that's really my main criteria. Because I mean, well, you go everywhere and you look up what an RPG is. It's it's role playing. It's you take on another character and you level up and you gain equipment and shit like that. It's an RPG. Yeah, no shit. You just described like 80% of contemporary video games. Well done. But I think what separates true RPGs from games that have RPG elements is that focus on story and focus on development.
Hmm.
Well, by that, would you say like Breath of the Wild is an RPG then? Because like there is this not really a focus of storyline. No matter what you do, it all leads to the same thing in the end
No,
that you
but
can't
it
change.
focuses
Would
on
you?
world building. It focuses on world building.
Okay. Oh,
So
yeah,
I
because you
yeah
can
I
you can change. Well, make the fight easier, change everything. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Whereas like at
There's
So
least
still
with Dark Souls, like you can change the world. Like there's some people you kill that'll erase the sun and the game's harder. There's some people you can save and makes
and
the sun brighter, makes everything easier. Like Demon Souls, depending on how often you die or not die, game gets harder, easier. Certain events happen if you're in certain tendencies, stuff like that. But the whole like character part in Demon Souls is like, does your character have a person? It's like, no, your character's just there. But I'd say like there has to be a healthy amount of everything else to counteract the lack of for it to be considered like an RPG.
I mean yeah. So you can play a Souls game and you don't have to learn anything about the story because all that stuff is optional. It's good to know. You can go find it. It's in the game. You can go and find any story information you want to,
hmm.
but you don't have to. If you play a game like Breath of the Wild, you're gonna learn about the story of this game because that is the focus of this game, or developing the world is the focus of the game.
Yeah, at least with like the Dark Souls, like the whole thing with like role playing games, like sometimes you'll role play and you're just like, to hell with everything, I just want to kill. Sometimes you role
Yeah.
play, it's like, okay, I want to know about this. Like it's role play in game, like not really role play in like in the real world because you literally like you can't find out the story in game in the Souls games.
Mm.
Like you
Mhm.
can't. You could read the descriptions.
Not the whole story.
Yeah,
You're not
no,
gonna
Yeah,
learn the
you
whole
could
story.
read the
yeah.
descriptions and be like, oh, okay. They'll give you bare minimum to kind of know, but then it's rich with lores on like the wikis, which like that's a part of your role. Like you want to know, which changes your character. Like if you get like a helmet on a Souls game that brings up your maximum magic, and then it says in the description that the entire armor set does that. Now you have to go online and look up, okay, this is here, so then I got to do this and this, and I got to go through this. Whereas if you're just like, I don't care, the rest of it's there, and if it's not, you're like, I don't care. Like that's the role you're playing at least, like you yourself and as your character, because like it's just like, I don't care, I'm gonna go hit things.
Hmm.
Like hidden things.
Yeah. So Tom, I guess my questions to you would be, with that criteria you set up of an RPG needing to focus on the story and characters, would you consider something? I think I mentioned this to you the other day, but would you consider like the God 2018 God of War reboot to be an RPG by that metric?
Yeah, yeah, I do it. Yeah, it, it's
And
it's it's an RPG with action elements or
Uh,
with action gameplay.
and okay, so and then the inverse question I have too is, would you consider the Outer Worlds to be an RPG, a game where you can completely forego the characters and story and just role play a psychopath who kills everyone?
yeah.
I, I don't I don't really think so. It's kind of like the same thing as the Fallout games, where
But
I'm not sure I'd really classify them as pure RPGs.
I would consider Fallout to be an RPG, though.
Yeah, Fallout's definitely an RPG.
Fallout is an
Yeah, but
RPG.
you can kind of play the game however you want, and I mean there is folk. Yeah, I guess
But at least
I
with
don't
like the
know.
God of War games, like there's like when you first start out, there's like, okay, there's a little bit of RPG in it because you're getting all these new weapon or not new weapons, new runes, new things like that. But when you get to the end of the game, you've maxed everything out, and it's kind of just like it's not really RPG anymore. It's just straight action because they just gave you everything,
Well,
and
I mean, I feel like
you're
for
not.
God of War 1 through 3, that is applicable, right? Because I feel like it's the gameplay acts as almost
Yeah, the first, not the newest one.
Yeah, like
The
it
general.
almost acts as like window dressing for the story, and then the story
Yeah.
just this linear plot that plays out while you watch, like it's a popcorn flick. Something like Uncharted, even too, like it
Yeah.
falls under that kind of like action linear story category. But the newest God of War game, where you have this like sandbox area you can explore, and you really get to
Again,
immerse
there's places
yourself
you
in
can
this
go that
world.
you don't
Yeah.
have to go.
Yep. And you can immerse yourself in this world with these characters. And I mean, you don't really have choice in the game necessarily. It's still rather linear, but you do have options for I'm going to pick path A or B. I'm going to level up ability A or B. And it really does have an impact. And, the weapons you choose and the choices you make, or not choices you make, choices you make in gameplay do um, affect the way you move forward. But I don't think it's necessarily so like it's funny because the answers you're giving me, they all make sense in a certain context,
Yeah.
but then you think about other games that don't necessarily do the same thing that we consider RPGs, and you're like, well, actually that criteria that seemed necessary once actually isn't necessary when you look at another game. Like, again, like you don't.
Yes, because there's like
Yeah.
certain parts of other games outweigh something else.
Oh yeah, I more so meant like so like a good example is like, oh, someone might say RPGs, in order to be an RPG, your story has to have choice. You have to give the player a choice. But then it's like, oh well, if that's the way we're going to go about it, then I don't think we can consider Persona an RPG, right? Because the Persona
Mhm.
games are all really linear. Or the Shin Megami Tensei games, even, the stories all follow one note. Sure, you can make different dialogue choices, but they all end up the same fucking way anyway. Like, in terms of like the outcome of the story, it's all linear. Versus like something like Mass Effect, where you have choice in nearly every avenue of what you do, and it outcomes every single event and the quests that are available to you, stuff like that. Some people would say that it's gameplay maybe that makes an RPG, but then there are some games that are rather linear in their design that I think we would consider RPGs. Stuff like what's a good example? I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Something like, I don't know. Would you consider Sekiro an RPG?
Diablo.
Oh, yeah. I mean, no, Diablo. You have options.
You're just looking for another one. I don't know if that met it, but
Oh,
Sekiro and RPG.
yeah. Would you consider
Mm,
Sekiro an RPG?
No, I don't think Sekiro is an
not
RPG.
really.
No.
No,
Yeah.
because like you said before, like they lock you into doing one thing.
Yeah.
Like it's
But
not really.
you do
It's
play the
just
role of a character, and you learn lore in a world, and you
yeah, but that's another
yeah.
thing. Is like if the game locks you in, like the whole thing about an RPG game, it's a role playing game. If you're gonna lock me into a role, then it's like it's not really RPG.
But
Like it's not
some
really.
RPGs do that.
Yeah, it's
Stuff like
but it's like it has
Yakuza,
to be a
the
healthy
Yakuza
medium for it
series,
because
right?
like
Yeah.
with Sekiro, they lock you into a character and they lock the certain gameplay you have to use, and all that's left for the RPG is where you go in the world. Like there has to be a healthy two of the three have to outweigh the last one because there has to be gameplay, choice, and like your control over the characters like role and decisions. Like there has to be something in those three. At least two of the three need to be there, where Sekiro only meets
Mhm.
one of them. So it's not really an RPG per se.
Maybe. Um, yeah, I mean, I can kind of see it's weird because like I don't know, there are so many games that I think we could all agree have RPG elements. Things like Far Cry has RPG elements, right? But we wouldn't consider Far Cry an RPG, would you? I feel like I wouldn't.
Nah,
Yeah.
No, not really.
that's just a first person shooter.
And like BioShock, would you consider BioShock an RPG? Not really, but
Not real. I think it
yeah.
has better RPG elements. I wouldn't label it as an RPG
But
itself.
I think then moving from that, I think we would all consider Borderlands to be an RPG, right?
Uh,
I consider Borderlands to be an RPG.
I, mm, mm.
I think it checks
I-
off nearly all of the boxes that you get. So you have I think the only thing that holds it off is its veneer of it being like a looter shooter, like a first
Yeah,
person
but the
shooter.
thing is, like with
It's not a
Borderlands, you don't.
it's not a
It's
veneer.
not.
That's
No,
what
but
it is.
what I
There's
mean
not
is
a
like
lot of this.
oh,
There's not a lot of points in Borderlands that you as the player gets to make a decision that
well, I mean,
changes something, like not drastically, but changes. Like you
But-
got like some side missions, but in the end, they all lead to you killing somebody.
but I mean, like that's again, like I feel like that's a criteria that doesn't necessarily make a game an RPG, because you look at something like again the Yakuza games where you're playing a static character who you don't really have a choice in the outcome, and you're just kind of watching the show play out. Like, or again, even like the Persona games where you're playing a character who's set in a world, and I mean, you do have dialogue options, but in terms of the main story, you're just kind of watching it play out. You don't really have any agency on how things end, like
yeah, but at least
um,
with the Borderlands games, like there's not a lot of change in gameplay. Like
no,
from
I
the
mean, no,
beginning, from the beginning to the end.
there's drastic
You're-
change in gameplay.
Listen, from the beginning
you-
to the end, when you come down to it, you're just shooting somebody with a gun.
But
No,
no,
there's
no,
a
no,
lot of,
gun-
there's a
you,
lot
that
of
gun.
character progression
you
development
so
in that game.
I can list like 3 or 4 things, right? So you have multiple skill trees you can go down, each of which distinctly defines your character and gives you options for builds and play styles that can suit you. You can fit the role of a character and make that character your own by saying, hey, I want to go down I want to go down the good example,
Like explosive.
the explosive tree, or I want to go down the gun wielding tree, or I want to go down the melee tree, or stuff like that.
Okay, but by
and
that,
then you
would
also
would
have
you count? But by that, would you count Far Cry as an
Well,
RPG then? Because Far Cry has the same
no, because there's
set.
but there's more to Borderlands that would make it an RPG, right? Stuff like you also have extreme customization of your character's appearance and outfit. You have multiple tracked side quests, a whole extensive lore and world of characters that you can follow, and your game constantly updates with new weapons, stats, trinkets and pieces of gear that can let you customize your character to almost like every minute detail. That I mean, I think I'd consider it an RPG because you're so heavily involved in a role that you're min-maxing stats and you're trying to figure out what the best gun for your specific loadout or your build is, and you're micromanaging your character, and that's like a really big RPG thing, right?
At least with like you say, like mid maxing, like changing, like all that. Would you consider Pokemon an RPG?
Pokemon
Yeah,
is an RPG.
Pokemon's an RPG.
Pokemon
Yeah,
is like the truest form of RPG
yeah.
you can find, dude.
Pokemon is an RPG, 100%. I mean, it's a cockfighting RPG, but it's an RPG.
Yeah, it's true.
Like it's so much of the same thing, but there's so much customization, or not customization.
Well, you're
However you
playing
wanna say
you're
it,
playing the
Well,
role
the main
of
thing
a
about the Pokemon
yeah.
series is the fact that the gameplay and the story intertwine so much. They are literally almost one and the same.
yeah.
Well, it's like, at least the
You're
thing with, like,
playing as
Pokemon, like
the role of a
after
Pokemon
after you
trainer.
beat the game, or you could just say to hell with beating the story and just go and collect stuff, which
Yeah.
is a choice you can make, and you still get the full
Experience.
feeling. Which I'm guessing, like for Borderlands, I mean, that's say Borderlands. Let's say it made it as an RPG. I could say that it made it.
I don't think it's really a true RPG.
Yeah, not a true. I say it just made it.
The gameplay outweighs the story. Like you're more focused on the looter shooter aspect than you are the story aspect, or even the fucking character customization aspect.
But I mean, again, but I mean, like, I don't think the fact that it's a first-person shooter excludes it from being an RPG, right? Or being a
I'm not
looter
saying
shooter.
the fact that it's a
'cause-
first-person shooter excludes it from that. I'm saying that the fact
You
that
just find
the
yourself
focus,
doing the same thing gameplay way more.
like the
than
focus,
everything
the
else.
focus is on the gameplay. 100% of the
Yes.
time, the focus is on the gameplay.
Which
Like,
is
you-
like at least with RPGs, like I said, there needs to be a healthy medium among different parts. Whereas Borderlands is a lot of gameplay, which isn't bad. It's pretty much the bread and butter of the game. But
Yeah, I don't know.
Especially since the development team clearly didn't give a shit about the story either.
Borderlands, well, that's fine. But yeah, I mean, that's why again, I feel like I don't know, like but we would consider Diablo to be an RPG, right?
I think it's when.
I mean, I would consider Diablo to be. That's almost like the truest form of art. It's like Dungeon and Dragons level type shit, dude. Like I don't know.
It's definitely RPG just for the sake of like after you beat the game, you can randomly generate dungeons.
Yeah.
The stats can get fucking ridiculous to the point where you can go on the hardest difficulty and one shot a boss with the weakest dagger because your stats are so high. Ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's like there's a lot of people when they compare RPGs, like, oh, where Mass Effect is an RPG.
Yeah.
And then they say, okay, but do you think Diablo's an RPG then? It's like, because they're so different. Like when you compare different RPGs, that's when it starts to get milky. Like you need to look at the game by itself, like without comparing it to something else.
Mm-hmm.
By saying if would you compare NFL Streets, Madden, and Blitz as all sports? There's all sports games. So yeah, they're all sports games.
Would they all be RPGs? Dun, dun, dun.
I don't know if you played Madden.
But like they're all they're all football.
Huh.
But they're all so different in their own specific ways when compared to each other. It's like they're so different, but when looked at by itself, you're like, yeah, it's definitely a sports game. But when you compare like Blitz the League to Madden, it's like, oh, Madden's got this stuff. Blitz the League, you can rupture a man's testicles and then beat the shit out of him with his helmet.
Well, those are micro details in a macro package that all still envelops the same
package. That's how you rupture the balls.
It has the same traits of these games. All have the same traits across the board. They still have all the same criteria that would make them a sports game, but the smaller details just separate them from each other. I think we're just trying to identify like what are the big details that make a game an RPG in this case, right? Because so I want to throw in two wrenches to this, right? Two wrenches of games that we all play and we like.
Monster Hunter.
Yes, Monster Hunter is one of them.
I knew it.
So, what would you consider Monster Hunter an RPG? I would 100% consider Monster Hunter an RPG, but
it's
I want
definitely
to
an RPG.
Yeah, but at the same time, you could just say because we all do it. Just say fuck the story. I just want to hunt monsters.
What?
Right?
Wait, what story is there in Monster Hunter? There's no fucking story.
They pretend to have a story.
But at least with the thing in Monster Hunter, like there's so much variety of gameplay with all the different weapons and styles
armors
with the weapons.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of customization. There's a lot of upgrades. Like the story was kind of like, was there a story? Yeah. What was it? Who cares? Come hunt this monster with me.
Yeah.
Like it's the other two things were done so good that the last part is like, yeah, we don't talk about that. It's like, that's a if.
Tom, what about you?
I almost consider Monster Hunter more of an MMO than an RPG.
But would you consider it MMO? Most MMOs are considered. It's not really an MMO because it's not massively multiplayer. The MMO has a specific, like MMO is a term used to categorize a specific type of game that is based on player count. So that's not like you can't say a game's an MMO when the
like when you have to like make a character on a server and then everyone's on that server.
Like because an MMO is categorized by the amount of players who are active at one time in a lobby, and in Monster Hunter we can only have 4 people on a hunt at a time. So I mean, like I can't really
have how many people in a lobby?
Well, I mean, in a lobby, yeah, but
right?
It's in a. But I mean, you can have 32 people in fucking in a lobby in Call of Duty World War II, or in fucking, or in
Hold on, Call of Duty and MMO,
or in Battlefield, right? You could have like over 32. You could have like 54 people.
you
have
can have 104.
Yeah,
Yeah, the new
104.
one's fucking.
So I mean, like,
Yeah.
but like, I again, an MMO is like, it's like something where you have hundreds of people in a hub world who can communicate with each other, and the world is completely made up of all of these player created characters. But I can't really consider, like, I feel like there's a clear cut line for MMO, and Monster Hunter definitely doesn't fit that.
A lot of MMOs, like once you're sat in there, you're out and you do stuff. Like Monster Hunter, like you pick a mission, do it, come back. Pick a mission, do it, come back. There's so many times they rip you away from the multiplayer aspect.
Like if like Expeditions and the Guiding Lands, for example, were like similar to you just exploring a world in an MMO, where like you just seamlessly watch other players on your server come in and out, constantly walk around. Like maybe I could consider it an MMO in a little bit of a sense, but because you are capped to having 4 people walk around with you during the gameplay and to experience, the hunt with a small group, it's hard to say MMO.
Closest they got to it is when you're going.
That's such a minute detail, and not call it an MMO. The fucking lobbies are still like how many people? You don't need 100 people in a lobby.
Yeah, but it's like if it's 32, like 32 isn't massive.
It's
no,
not.
But an MMO has lobbies of anywhere to fucking 15 to like 1,000.
No, but
like an MMO, the number varies.
The number varies, but the first M stands for massive, massively multiplayer online.
Right, and when I went to go look up what the fucking MMO was, it said anywhere from dozens to thousands.
Yes, but it's defined by the cap. It's not defined by the smallest baseline. Like, which is where I think we're
dozens. What?
No, but never mind. My point is like it's like you can't really. I don't think even then, like even then, an MMO in an MMO, the gameplay is where the big lobbies exist. I can't really call sitting around in the gathering hub. I can't consider that to be the gameplay of Monster Hunter. It's just where you go to prep.
It's like the social. It's like a social area.
Yeah, it's
like
a social area.
In the lobby in Call of Duty.
Yeah, tons of games have a social area like that. But like an MMO is where all of the characters in the world can explore and play the game. It's why games like Fallout 76, The Elder Scrolls Online, Divinity Original Sin.
Divinity Original Sin's not an MMO.
Oh no, not that one. Sorry, the other one. What am I thinking of?
I was about to say, I'm like, what,
Divinity? Not Divinity.
Okay, game you play.
Yeah, no, sorry, not Divinity. I'm thinking of another game. No, whatever. I'll come back to it. I don't know. Like, was Knights of the Old Republic the one that was? Where is it?
The Old Republic.
Yeah, the Old Republic.
That's an MMO. Yeah.
Yeah, there's another game I was trying to think of that was an MMO. Well, but my point is like World of Warcraft, Black Desert Online, like games that you literally go into a lobby and you could do big massive hunts with hundreds of people, or fights with hundreds of people, fight raid bosses with huge gigantic groups, where the game is walking around a town filled with player created characters. And the Gathering Hub, sure, maybe the Gathering Hub in Monster Hunter is an MMO aspect transcribed into the game, but you can't really say that Monster Hunter is an MMO because it has the Gathering Hub, right?
I'd call it more of an MMO than an RPG.
I still don't see where you're coming from with that, but that's just
what?
So I still don't see where you're coming from with that. I don't.
Why is it more of an RPG than an MMO?
I mean, we've described it in many ways.
No,
you have a ton of character customization, a ton of ways to play the game, and it's a player created character. You get into the role of being a monster hunter. You get into the role of, this is how I use this weapon. This is how I can approach this monster. This is how this is the best build for this fight. This is how I'm going to play. I'm going to strategically. How do I put it? You're strategically prep for every single fight with a monster because you're immersing yourself in that role and that character. Where you're
And at
like,
least
yeah,
Immerse.
if you're gonna have like,
Wait. You're telling me I immerse myself as Xerox machine?
Yeah.
Are you
hey,
really? I
yes,
don't immerse
But it's like
myself.
at least with
Maybe.
an MMO, like if you're playing an MMO game, say there's a an area boss, everyone on that server can come and fight that area boss.
Filter off.
Cool
Sappy
Tear Off,
Diva.
that was the closest, but you never get to see the other people
Yeah.
while you're fighting. That's the closest they got, like Cool Tear Off and
Sappy Jiva.
yeah, Safi
Dino
Pivo.
Jiva.
Like all of them, that's the closest they got, but you don't get to fight with those other people. It's just tracking and saying, hey, this person did this. Here's some points. Whereas like Final Fantasy 14, if there's an area boss, everyone on that server can come and fight that area boss and then fuck off. Whereas Monster Hunter, you're locked in a group of 4 people only. Other people might do things that change your not your stats, but change your quest or add to your quest, but you're not playing with them. It's like the massive multiplayer part. Like if it was massive multiplayer, you go to fight Sappy Jiva and there's 32 people there on the field fighting him. Then it's like, okay, then I guess it is. But when you're only playing with just 4 people, it's not massive. Whereas other MMOs, it's kind of just, you can have your team, your party of like 4 people, and you're fighting a monster. But then somebody else that just randomly picked up the game can come in and join your fight and then fuck off. Or someone can come and get the last hit and fuck off. Or a whole new group can come in, fight, and then you can make a bigger party. Like that whole massive part rather than just stick to your team and that's it.
Guild Wars 2, that was it.
I'm calling it an MMORPG. That's what I'm gonna do.
That's I still you're on the pack. You smoking the pack.
No, not really. I don't know, man. I went on the internet, looked up his Monster Hunter MMO, and I see a lot of shit that says it's an MMO APG, RPG. I don't know.
You can also look up Alinity didn't throw her cat, so
No, that's just a lie. We
Oh my
all saw
god, this
that
is why we can't be live. This is why we can't be live. So actually, Tom, you bringing up MMO, what an MMO is, it does make this point for me because I feel like this is a game where we can have almost an endless debate on what genre it is. Right? This game that I wanted to bring up. Would you guys consider Minecraft to be an RPG?
No.
I would consider Minecraft to be an
No.
RPG.
No.
I consider it to be a crafting builder.
Would
Yeah,
you
what the fuck?
consider Minecraft to be an MMO?
Yes.
More than an RPG?
Yes, definitely. Yes. You can have a shit
So
ton of people.
why don't you consider Minecraft to be an RPG though?
I'm not emotionally attached to any of these characters. What
Yeah, it's
fucking
like,
story is that? What, I killed the Ender Dragon?
there's no character development. There's like if you're just saying like base vanilla Minecraft, not because you can add mods. You can add mods to anything to turn it into anything else. But base Minecraft,
So
the character you are, there's no choices.
There's
Like
there's no
specific
clear-cut
end game that you go.
you don't have so I feel like you're boxing it in based on what the game directly offers you, right? In terms of what the game presents to you on its baseline. I would consider Minecraft to be an RPG, not because, oh yeah, there's no story that the developers are telling me is here, or there's no there's no set of characters or this consistent world or anything like that. I would consider Minecraft to be an RPG purely because you have the capacity to make your own stories in Minecraft, to make your own world, and to make your own adventure. And as just by that, that juncture alone, Minecraft is an RPG to me. Like,
isn't that a sandbox game?
No,
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, like, so here's a good example. Like, I don't know. I think to like the episode of South Park. You remember the episode of South Park where they all played World of Warcraft.
Of course.
Yeah, like the RPG part of that was when all of them got super into their roles and started like making up stories for themselves and like getting into these scenarios and fights with other players in World of Warcraft, who were also, you know, role playing as their characters. And I feel like you could do the same thing with Minecraft. You can role play as your character in Minecraft in the world, you know, whether it's with other people on a server or if it's just by yourself or with your
Okay.
group of friends. And then from there you can
But it's like
customize
I'll
and
just
make
say if you're playing Minecraft by yourself, it's not an RPG because like it's like say you get to make your own stories.
well
If you're playing by yourself, like you can't make your own story.
you
Like you can
no
craft up and
you
stuff. If
you
you're playing
can.
with other people, you can because like you said, the whole World of Warcraft, like they got into the characters, interact with other people.
Well,
That's because it's an
well
MMO RPG.
you still can
Hold-
make your own, like
Okay, hold on. None of that is provided to you through the game or through like Minecraft doesn't give that to you. Minecraft gives you options and you can do whatever the hell you want in Minecraft. That doesn't mean it's an RPG because you make it an RPG.
I
That-
mean,
Yeah,
that's-
it's like if you play
that's-
Madden and then you make up a whole story on your one of the players. It's like
There's
by that
literally a
logic, it makes
story
sense.
mode in Madden.
well, so I mean, my point is like one of the criteria we laid out, right? And Tyler made a good point of saying that it's about like, oh well, if the game has this like really, you know, if it weighs it out with one thing versus another, we can consider it this one genre. Like if there's a lot of customization, then maybe it's more of an RPG than you know, it wouldn't be otherwise. And with Minecraft, the whole game is customization, from you being able to pick your character's skin and outfit to being able to choose which, you know, weapon you make or what you make your house out of or what biome you're going to be in, or just, you know, being able to explore and do whatever you want in the world.
Yeah, but then you have
And
to throw in like the sandbox crafting building and how
You
much
also
of that
just
falls under
described
that.
an MMO.
wait, what?
You also just described an MMO.
I mean, but okay, you don't. But that's not what. I mean, MMOs. That's not really what an MMO
But
is.
MMOs do
Like
all those
a
things.
majority
Those elements
of
are built into the game
MMOs are RPGs.
Yes, you role play
But
in
not
it,
all
but
MMOs are RPGs.
well, no, not
But it's
necessarily.
like if you're
but
playing
it's-
Minecraft, if you play Minecraft online or like online or with other people, then I could see it being an RPG game. That's if you like the thing is about RPG games. Once you play it, when you look at the game, and it's like, okay, this game is an RPG. And we look at Minecraft, if you look at it, it's like, I can make this an RPG. It's like you made it an RPG. It's not an RPG. If you play
So-
it with people, then yeah, you can make an RPG. Like you guys made a whole sex
Oh my god! Please no. Let's not talk about that. But I mean,
you guys had your own different things going.
but that's what I'm saying though. Is like, right? We assumed roles of characters and did things based with the tools provided to us by the game. Is that not a role playing game then? If you take the canvas that the game provides you and you assume a role in the world, right? Like, because you can't do that with every game. Some games force you to follow a linear path. Some games force you to do one thing. Some games are really like, I don't know. You can't, there's no way you can make something like fucking Tetris a role playing game, right? You don't have the tools necessary to do that. But in a game like Minecraft, you have the tools available to you to make, to turn it, to assume the role of Minecraft Steve and to go on an adventure inside of the setting of the world. And I think that's the point I'm trying to make is like,
I don't think that makes Minecraft an RPG.
I mean, what game genre would you consider it? That, I mean, you said sandbox, but I don't think that's
An MMO survival game.
I mean, okay, survival, yes, that makes sense, but you wouldn't consider it a role-playing survival game because there's a lot of those.
No, people add that element to the game themselves. The game itself is not an RPG.
So you're saying that people add in the role playing element, even though there are various tools in gameplay and cosmetics that allow you to role play, and that the game
So
provides you.
MMO then is what I'm getting from this.
Well, no, because MMO is massively multiplayer, Tom. Massively multiplayer. Those lobbies aren't massive; they're big.
That I'm pretty sure it's a dozens. Dozens is there's a little over a dozen people.
Massive.
There's multiple lobbies at a time. There's dedicated servers because
dedicated servers, but there's dedicated servers in various games across that are not. Again, there's dedicated servers in Call of Duty. You can't consider Call of Duty an MMO, can you?
I mean, technically,
the Call of Duty's not an MMO. I mean, in terms of so then any multiplayer with a big dedicated fan base of people who play it online could be considered an MMO then. Like any game that has like hundreds of thousands of concurrent players at once, even if the lobbies are small, then you consider them MMOs because millions of people play them at one time.
Oh, there still has to be a certain threshold. I'm not saying 5 people in a lobby makes it an MMO.
But that's Monster Hunter. That's Monster Hunter.
Well, the lobbies can be up to like 20 fucking people.
That's in a lobby where you are in a server pretty much. But that lobby isn't the game. The game is the hunt with the 4 hunters. Oh, that's a nice
fireworks.
4th of July, yeah.
Or someone's getting shot. I don't know. We'll find out.
It's 4th of July fireworks. Why are they starting now?
Because it's Friday. Because it's the weekend. And this is America.
Well, this is really fucking awkward now because this is going to be picking up on the mic.
Don't worry. They can't hear it. I can only smell it.
No, they can hear it.
Can they? Oh, is it picking up on the mic? Oh, yeah.
It's picking up on your mic and mine. Okay, yeah. In any case, my point though is like, yeah, it's, you know, like I don't think MMO necessarily means what you think it means. Because from my understanding of MMO is it has to be like the community has to be all in the same place at the same time, and the core of the gameplay has to be there. It can't just be like we're jumping in the lobby like Fortnite. You're gonna consider Fortnite and the Battle Bus to be an MMO?
No.
Why? There's dozens of players in Fortnite at once.
Yeah, but they're all 10. I think I've made my point.
Fucking God. Oh my fucking God. Oh my God. I'm having an aneurysm.
I mean, I'll concede that Monster Hunter is more of an RPG than an MMO, but it has MMO elements and enough that not a lot of people think it's an MMO.
I mean, it has like an MMO element, in my opinion.
It's got I don't know, dude. There's like fucking. I just went through 5 pages of Google where people are saying that this is an MMO game.
I don't know. I don't think.
But I'm not going to consider Minecraft an RPG.
I don't see. I would consider Minecraft an RPG. That's just me though.
So what's the focus of Minecraft?
The focus of Minecraft is whatever you want it to be.
Yes.
I've been talking this whole time. Like, what the fuck?
Oh
happened?
Shit! Oh no!
God
The fireworks got Tyler.
I don't know what the fuck.
Tyler just got nailed.
I was gonna say, in order for an actual MMO game to be an MMO game, but like how, well, first I was gonna say, Zach, how you brought up Fortnite, and is that in?
Oh no! Oh, he's dead. He's dead. He's dead. Oh, he's dead. They killed him.
He's dead, Othello. He's dead.
God damn it.
Okay, you're back. You're back. You're back. You're back.
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell's going on, but with Fortnite, you know, with the 100 people or so on there, the reason that's not an MMO is because it's a battle royale, and that overturns it. Is the same reason Minecraft isn't an MMO, because the crafting sandbox overturns it. Like, that's the majority of the game.
Okay.
Like with Fortnite, you could say, oh, it's an RPG because you get to pick your guns, pick your skins, customize your guns, play your way. It makes an RPG. It's like when it comes down to the bread and butter, it's a battle royale. Same thing with Minecraft. It's just a MMO crafting survival. Like there's RPG elements, but it's not an RPG game. You have to make it an
Yeah.
RPG game. So you have to make something like that.
If
Then
there
the
are
game
RPG
itself
elements,
is not an RPG.
if there's RPG elements, it's real bare bones in my. You have character customization. You can make whatever character you want, but other than that, I mean, you can't really upgrade your character aside from, I guess, getting new gear.
Yeah, you can get
Gear is kind of upgrading in that game.
gear
Yeah,
is
okay.
upgrading, and then you can also choose what materials you can craft and build.
Yeah, but that's
and
just gear.
you can also get spells and you make potions, and there's a lot of customization in Minecraft depending on.
Yes, but doing those things is all in the sake of survival.
Yeah, I think that is a good point.
Or crafting like a city. It's like once you're done with it, like you can only role play in your city if you're playing with other people. That's why if you're playing with other people and you assume a role, definitely it's an RPG. I'm not gonna argue against that. But by yourself,
I don't know, man.
By yourself, there's RPG elements.
All
With
those
other
kids
people-
will role play as Minecraft Steve by themselves in their solo Minecraft lobbies.
No, they're role playing as themselves because they created little Timmy as their character.
Well, as I say, if you have to be the one that does it in order to make an RPG, then the game is not an RPG. You just
I
took
think
RPG elements and upgraded it and jumped it.
I think it's more so the fact that if you have to do something outside of the game to make it an RPG, I don't think it's an RPG by itself.
Yes.
So I think yes, okay. So I think the note I actually want to leave this on, because we've been at this for like almost 2 hours now, is that RPGs are honestly a really fascinating genre to me because one thing that we can consider an RPG will be radically different to another thing that we consider an RPG, and it's really hard to discern why. Like here's a good example. My favorite game of all time, Xenoblade Chronicles. That's an RPG, 100%. You can't deny that's an RPG, but it's an action. It has action combat. It follows a linear story with a character. And you kind of assume the role of that character, but it's all a story that plays out before you, and most of the customization comes from gameplay and exploring your options in gameplay. But on the opposite spectrum of that is something like Mass Effect, where the story completely changes. And yes, you assume the role of a character, but that character is completely player created, and you pretty much have agency to do whatever you want in that world and influence how events in that world play out. Sure, there's a big story, but it's different. Like my point in saying this, but and even then, like with Mass Effect too, right? I think we would all say that the gameplay in Mass Effect kind of stays relatively stagnant. I mean, you can get some new weapons or different weapons, but for the most part, you're just shooting people in hallways and
behind cover,
using
somebody.
and using like biotic abilities every once in a while, or Vanguard charging things if you're a cool person.
You're a cool person.
But for the most part, the gameplay relatively stays the same in a Mass Effect game, versus again like a game like Xenoblade, where the gameplay is what changes, but the story stays the same. So, but like with an RPG, these games have these different elements, but they still retain the same. They're still retained under the same umbrella, and I feel like that's something that can't be said about nearly any other game genre, because each of these game genres have to have these defined features and characteristics. Sports games have to have a sport. Racing games have to have cars.
Cars too.
Cars too. Action games typically have to have like real-time action combat, right? Like just life sim games have to have you fucking babysit people. Like, I don't know, battle royales have to have one person end at the top. Like stuff like that, right? But like an RPG, the concept of it, just playing a role, is so vague that nearly any game can be, can have RPG elements, but you can create an RPG in one aspect, and then you can create another RPG that's a completely separate package than what another game that's considered an RPG could be. So I don't know. Yeah, that's
because I know a lot of times with comparing, like if you're gonna compare like Alien Isolation to Resident Evil 8, you can say which one of them. Well, let's not say Resident Evil 8 because that's more of an action game. Alien Isolation to, let's say, Silent Hill. You could argue which one's the better horror game, but you can still say they're horror games. Whereas like RPGs, there's a lot of like if you try to be subjective, it's like, okay, let's just talk about this game. It always comes down to, but what about this game? This game did this. Does that make this? Or this game did this? Like, there's always bringing it back to something else to define it as that. And then when you think it's like, wait, they're so different. Maybe this one isn't an RPG. Maybe it's this. And it's like, but if this one's not an RPG, then what's this game? Because it's the same. It's a stack of cards falling down.
I think the fact that RPG was kind of the original genre of gaming definitely kind of has a thing to do with it.
Oh my god, Pong was an RPG?
Yeah.
Pong's figured it out.
I mean, you want to get technical. Listen, the whole point of playing video games is
you have the choice to go up or down.
True. He right. You choose where that ball goes.
Fucking god.
But I mean, the whole point of playing video games, or even just to play a tabletop game, play D&D, the whole point
I was just about
is
to say that.
like D&D was like the fucking thing, like
thing.
But the fact that we all play, I would say a lot of people use video games as an escape to get away from life and kind of either portray themselves or step into the shoes of someone else. Whether that be, your favorite athlete in NBA 2K sucks, or fucking Dragon Quest, or whatever game you play the game to assume the role of someone else. So I mean, most games almost are RPGs. That proxy.
Yeah, I mean, I think by that lens, every video game is an RPG because you're stepping into the role of someone else and escaping from your own role. But I mean, that's pretty much all media though. So that's why the genre just fascinates me. It's because it's there's such a vagueness to it that it really can just be so amorphous, and it can be formed. That's why this discussion had us literally coming up with so many answers for games of like, oh, this is an RPG, this is an RPG. And again, it's funny that we turn to some games and we're like, oh, that's definitely an RPG. And then when we try to answer why,
then it starts to fall apart.
No, that not that it starts to fall apart. It makes sense, but then I don't know, to me at the very least, then we answer something else that like, oh, I don't know if that's an RPG. But then we actually start discussing why, and we're like, oh, maybe that game is really similar to the other game that we said is like an RPG. So why isn't this considered an RPG? And stuff like that. I think part of it too has to do with like the setting of the game, and like some games, if they are set in a fantasy world, or they're set in like a Japanese anime style world, or like anything like that, it's probably just going to be automatically considered RPG checkbox, purely because of its environment design and the way its world is. But because of the stigma that's around that, but that's a whole nother discussion. But yeah, I don't know. It was that was a good talk. We did this a lot longer than I thought we would. Maybe we should have just made that the whole fucking podcast instead of spending 40 minutes on other shit.
Talked about that for like 2 hours.
Yeah, that's I'm never gonna doubt us again. Holy shit.
I told you we can listen. If you let me and Tyler go, you want to give us a tier list? Me and Tyler can debate for at least an hour and a half.
We got some topics we want to.
We got some topics. Like, hey, listen, 35 likes, and we get to take over the show and choose.
No. Where's my sponsor? NordVPN.
I give you this ultimatum, chat. or the chat, right? Yeah, we're live.
Chat.
I give you this ultimatum, my YouTube audience: 36 likes, and I'll drop Blue Dragon Part 3. Okay.
If this video gets 100 likes, Tyler, I'm going to beat up Zach.
Nice.
And then take over his channel, and we're going to talk about our topic.
No.
I'll have the tier list ready to go.
Watch, this is going to be the one
What if I
video.
already do?
This is going to be the one podcast and video that blows up, and then it's going to get like 100 something likes. I'm gonna...
Listen, dude, all I'm saying is a dude who I watched once, his biggest YouTube video today is still that tier list.
Oh my god.
By like a few million.
Oh my
If you
god.
guys want to know what that tier list is, make sure to like this video.
Check out Westside Live.
Oh.
There you go. You're welcome.
Oh
You've
my
got the sauce
God.
now.
Anything you guys want to end on, or?
You know, I'm staring at this dude right now, and this guy watching this video still has not smashed the like button. I'm really starting to get pissed off by it. You just hit the like button already? Christ, I've asked you like 4 times. You're lucky Zach isn't doing it.
$5.
$5. You have hours to
You
watch
can't
me,
give
but not
$5. You need to stop watching. No,
$5.
don't do it.
It's fine. It's fine. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Despite all of the debates we have about game genre, I think there's one thing we can all agree on.
I was
Oh,
gonna
it's only
fucking
6.
say-
Sonic
say-
Colors is mid.
Right.
It's mid.
Stop saying
It's-
that.
I would
Mid.
agree that Pong was the first RPG, but that too.
It's
Listen, I know now, without a
Mid.
doubt.
Sonic Colors
Pong
is
shaped the
mid.
future of gaming by being the world's first RPG.
Sonic community, I will come at you. It will be every day until you admit it.
Nothing personnel, kid.
You could not live with your mistakes. And where has that
Where's
brought
that
you?
brought
Back to fucking Sonic Colors.
you?
Stupid fucking.
When first be quenched?
You freaking freaks. All right. We gotta end this. It's been 2 hours.